An unfinished letter. Let me start with the question. If you suddenly found out that your first love left a letter for you before they died, what would you do? Would you read it? Or would you be too afraid of what it might reopen? This story begins right there. Eleanor was almost 70. She lived alone in a quiet New Jersey suburb. A small, tidy house. Her late husband's photo on the wall. Family pictures of her 2 children, one in California, one in London. Her life looked complete from the outside, but inside, something always felt unfinished. Afternoons were the hardest because silence has a way of making old memories speak. One evening, a storm rolled in. Strong wind, heavy rain, and suddenly the power went out. You know what happens when the lights go off. Every sound becomes louder. The ticking clock, the stillness of the house, and the thoughts you've been avoiding for decades. Eleanor went into the storage room, looking for a flashlight. That's when she noticed a dusty cardboard box labeled Old Papers. She hadn't touched it in years. She pulled it closer, coughed as dust filled the air, and inside, old documents, photographs, and one envelope. Her hand froze, because the handwriting on the envelope was familiar, her own, and written on it was a name she hadn't spoken out loud in over 50 years. James Carter, her first love. Let me ask you something. If you found an envelope that forced you to face your biggest regret, would you open it? Eleanor did. Inside was an unfinished letter, a dried rose petal, and an old bus ticket, London to Manchester, dated nearly 5 decades ago. The letter began, "James, if I ever find the courage." Her eyes blurred before she could finish the line, because suddenly she was 22 again. James was 24. They had just finished college. He had received a scholarship in the UK. But Eleanor's family was traditional. Her father had said only one thing. Love is nice, Eleanor, but it doesn't pay the bills. That night, James stood outside her house in the rain. He said, "Come with me, tonight. We'll figure everything out together." Now tell me honestly, what would you have done? Fight your family or ask love to wait? Eleanor asked for time, and time, like it often does, was cruel. James left the next morning. That same night, Eleanor wrote this letter, but she never sent it, because her mother stood at the door and said, "That's enough, Eleanor. Don't ruin your life." The letter went into a drawer. Life moved on. Marriage, children, responsibilities. She had a good life, a stable life, but there was always an empty space, one no one could see. The letter continued, "James, I didn't stop you because I was afraid. I thought you would come back, but you didn't, and I didn't wait." Tears rolled down Eleanor's face, and just then, the landline phone rang. No power, rain outside, darkness everywhere. Who calls at a time like this? She picked up. A calm male voice said, "Is this Eleanor Howard?" Her throat tightened. "Yes." "My name is Daniel Carter," the man said. "I'm James Carter's son." Eleanor sat down. Daniel continued gently, "I'm sorry to call like this. My father passed away 3 months ago. Before he died, he asked me to find you." Eleanor whispered, "What did he leave?" "A letter," Daniel said, "and a photograph. He kept them in a small wooden box with your name on it. Sometimes life doesn't bring closure softly. Sometimes it drops it right in your hands." Daniel asked, "I can mail it or I can visit." Eleanor replied, "Please come." That night, she didn't sleep. She read her letter again, then stood in front of the mirror and asked herself, "What do you want now, Eleanor? An apology or peace? The next day, Daniel arrived, kind, quiet, with traces of his father in his eyes. He handed her the box. Inside was a photo of James, older, smiling, holding a cup of coffee. On the back it said, "Still my favorite story." And then, the letter. James had written, "Eleanor, I found your letter very late. Life does this sometimes. It hides the truth until it hurts less, or until it hurts more. I married, I had a life, but I never stopped wondering, what if you had come that night? I don't blame you. I blamed fear, and I forgive you. But more than anything, I hope you forgive yourself. You deserved peace. If you're reading this, I'm gone, but I want you to live lighter." Eleanor couldn't speak. Daniel quietly said, "He didn't want your apology. He wanted your freedom." Something inside Eleanor finally loosened. She understood then. Forgiveness isn't about changing the past. It's about saving the present. That evening, Eleanor wrote a final letter. Not to James, to herself. "I lost you, but today I found myself." And that night, the power came back on. But Eleanor realized the real light had already returned. Let me leave you with one last question. Is there an unfinished letter in your life? Something unsaid? Some forgiveness you never gave? Maybe to yourself. You don't have to send a message. You don't have to make a call. But tonight, you can quietly say, "I tried. I was human, and I deserve peace."